Welcome to I'ma Talk About It. I'm Alicia E., empowerment coach and ancestral healer, and I'm here to teach you how to break generational cycles, self-advocate, and ascend to happiness without the guilt of wanting a better life for yourself. You don't have to choose the same path as those before you. You can choose a better way, your way. Because if we can each heal ourselves today, we can heal the world tomorrow together.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am super excited to be back on this podcast. I know that it's been a minute, and like myself and many other healers and activists and non-healers and activists during this time, there is a lot of pain and suffering going on in the world, and I took some time to reevaluate things in my business and my personal life and ground myself so I can continue to show up in the community as my whole self, with full capacity amongst my move and many other things that I have on my plate right now. And so I am here and ready to share with you some things that I think will be really helpful for the community. This episode is really going to be centered around awakening your inner activist. And I really wanted to talk about this because it's extremely important that we as a community fully understand what is going on in the world and how important it is to truly step into our individual power so that we can begin to heal the spaces around us and fight for human rights for everybody, and be able to create real change in the world, right? I think there's a tendency to look back on history and not look at what other activists and teachers and, even fighters, people on the ground, people who attend rallies were really doing, and the work that it took to get the change that they were truly seeking in the world, to get laws passed, right? It's not a passive way of living. It takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of dedication. And so I want to share with you some of my own story and tips that you can really use to help awaken these parts of you quickly during this time. Because while I would like to ensure that people have a journey where they do have flexibility to have time. Time is not on our side right now. And I really want to be perfectly honest and just say that if you believe you have all the time in the world to become the activist that is so needed right now, or the healer that is so needed, or the coach or the teacher or the organizer, it's not true. And I think it's time that we admit that to ourselves. And I think it's time that we admit to the parts of our lives and our society where we have been a bit delusional about the world and the reality of the circumstances that we are living in and the privileges that some of us have while others do not. Because every minute, every second that we take right now to spend on, something really insignificant, like truly insignificant, means that we will lose another life overseas and in many other countries to famine and genocide. And I know many of you who have been following this podcast and following my business for a long time know that activism and empowerment is how we create change in the world, is how we do the generational healing, is how we continue to show up with power, with force with stability and foundation, right? Which is why we also connect with our ancestors and remember how to heal ourselves and activate energies within us that align with our souls and use our gifts to be able to read situations or read other people, and return to a place of peace, right? Because we're stripping away many layers of colonialism that has been so deeply ingrained into everything that we do, from the way we talk to the way we eat, wear our hair, the way we buy things, how we show up in school, how we teach our children, expectations that we have for each other, right? And so what we are seeing right now in the world is a direct reflection of our lack of compassion. And again, I want to say to people that while, there's things that are happening in your own personal life, it is not a good enough excuse right now. And it never really was a good enough excuse. And so I invite you all to continue to listen to this podcast and reflect on how you can continue to take accountability for your actions in whatever way you can to help people across the world and within your community, and to show up on your platform in an ethical way, and to continue to share information that is going to be useful to everyone during this time. This is not the time for us to lose focus and worry about the mundane things of life. And while, yes, we have to continue to have an income and we need to continue to run our businesses and take care of our family, you absolutely can do that and save people at the same time if you learn what you stand for and learn how to manage your time in a more efficient way, because we are responsible for what's happening in the world, and that's not something any of us can outrun. And I invite you to surround yourself with people who are not living in the delusion of, I'm going to go about the holidays as if nothing is going on. I invite you to not be around those people at all, actually, because it's a dangerous way of living, and that is exactly how we got here. So, not saying that you have to continue to subject yourself to things, but right now, we do need to open our energy, our hearts, our eyes, everything that we have to fight for these people. And, I had a talk with someone about even verbiage around the word fight. And, to me, if the word fight is triggering to you, it should be triggering to you, because people are literally fighting for their lives. And so you need to help fight for them. And it's a very accurate energy that I will continue to use. So I invite you all to really stand in your power during this time, and to not give up hope, to not lose your way, to not worry about the small things in your businesses or the things that your family might be saying. If you need to create the distance in whatever way. And I'll be sharing on social media things that I've been doing during this time that is really helping to focus my energy and make the shift, because we need to make a shift. And there's also a collective energy around the world and in all of us where we are being invited to let go of the old ways of thinking, our old energies, and return to our natural states of working as a collective. And, this kind of came up when I was also talking to a friend of mine, and we were talking about religion and how, in the past we were extremely angered sometimes, having grown up in the Catholic Church and seeing what it can do to people and to communities, feeling angered by certain words from that religion, and, having the open conversation of, if we are truly going to create change in this world, we have to elevate above our triggers of the past. It doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean that you erase history. It means that you need to not be as triggered by the small things in life when there are bigger things at hand, like saving people's physical lives. So know when you need to balance your energy and show up in a different way. And I know this is not something that we've all been equipped to do. Some of us haven't lived through other wars. Some of us have. But now's the time to remember how they got through with such resilience and with so much love, and how we can evolve it even stronger now to ensure that history does not repeat itself. The generations that are alive right now are strong enough to do this. And so we have to actually begin. And I think that's been the hardest thing, just seeing activists and healers and coaches, some coaches out here actually beginning the work, right? The beginning is the hardest part. And unless you're involved in the community where speaking up and empowering others is something that you do regularly, it's not something that you can recognize as something you should absolutely be doing. And that's like the only time I will say should. But it is necessary for us to move forward. And so again, I just invite you all to take some time and really contemplate where your energy is at right now, where you are investing every penny of your life, and remembering that everybody deserves to live regardless. So again, and I, post this on social media, asking yourself every day if you have done everything you could within your resources to help. Because I don't know about you, but I fucking refuse to sit by and watch people lose their lives because I was busy celebrating Christmas, or I was busy visiting my friends, or I was sitting around saying that my voice didn't matter. Yeah. I'm sure you're getting the point. But that is a reality of life right now. So take it seriously. And this podcast is intended to talk about these topics that we don't usually share. And I personally will be making changes in my own life. This has opened a lot of different energy in me as well. My business is shifting. I will not be communicating with some of my friends that I have. I will be changing my number. I will be relocating. Not saying you have to do all of these things, but these are the things that I am doing so I can free up my energy to get back to the activist work that I know is so necessary to do in this world. So I invite you to do whatever is necessary so that you can maintain a large amount of energy to continue to do this work. And I want you to think about that every day. So going into really awakening your inner activist, if, speaking out and showing up at rallies and educating people around you, right? The see it, say it, is something new to you. A good place to start, especially right now, is to really ask yourself if you feel aligned and where your energy is at, right? Allowing yourself the space to acknowledge that something is off or misaligned. There was someone in a chat that I was in, and they had mentioned they didn't know where to start, and they're really confused, and their heart was broken, and there was a lot of overwhelm, and it always begins with yourself, right? Like it was the most beautiful message that I had seen, even though they felt like they were hopeless and they were helpless, right? At the same time, they were doing the one thing that many people cannot do, which is actually acknowledge that something is wrong, or acknowledging that something doesn't feel right. So your journey to beginning to show up in the world in a more impactful way begins with understanding your own emotions and truly taking the journey inwards to discover who you are and your own belief systems, right? So asking yourself, what do you truly stand for in this world? What, as some coaches say, are your non-negotiables when it comes to your beliefs? For myself, genocide is a fuck no, and it always will be. And having friendships in my life that are not contributing to the collective whole in a peaceful way are not friendships that I maintain anymore. And I'm getting stricter with that, especially right now, because there's been a lot of truth being revealed, right? And one of my belief systems is I continue to operate from a place of love. If I have a project, or I'm going to talk to someone, or I have a client session, I make sure that I am rooted in love first. I cannot do anything without it. I cannot make a post, which is why sometimes you may not see a post for days, because I might be resting, or I might be working through my own anger and frustration, so I can sift through it to get to the love and remember why I was doing this work, right? But you have to be able to create that space for yourself so you can begin to build your belief systems if you've never done it before. And I invite you to even write it down. The winter solstice is tomorrow, and it's a great time to release and plant new seeds and move forward in a more grounded way, right? Like being within winter, and you think about, trees being barren, and it's almost like a blank canvas where you can really start over. So begin to ask yourself what you truly believe in, and put all of your energy behind it, and fight for that. Become your own warrior. Become warrior of peace, right? That is why I also changed my Instagram thing to Warrior of Change, because that's something that I truly believe in, and I believe is necessary for humankind to continue to exist. And it is a natural state of being. It is reflected back at us through nature, through animals, right? They're constantly evolving. My dog right now is shedding. So change is all around us. And yet, as humans, sometimes we resist it because we're too scared. And we have to be able to address that. So what do you truly stand for? And sometimes even I will look at historical events. This is something you can do, or look at what's going on right now. What is it that is really triggering you? What is it that is perhaps even causing you to numb out? What is it that makes you want to run away? Or what is it that's making you angry? Is it that nobody deserves this? Is it the silencing of someone's voice? Is it denial? And turn those into strong belief systems that are affirmative, right? Like, I believe in financial sovereignty for everyone, but also more specifically, I will fight for, femme presenting people of color and prioritizing them, because it's something that has been historically ripped away. and still continues to be this way. So that is a part of my belief system. And sharing in resources, right? That is also a part of my belief system, and sharing in knowledge and not gatekeeping. And there's a balance between, putting certain things behind a paywall because you absolutely deserve to be paid for your time. And then there is the balance of giving away information for the sake of truly helping people, right? So what do you stand for? And, on my own journey, my voice really started to evolve, and not my physical voice, but like my metaphorical voice, my energy really started to evolve when, George Floyd had passed, because it was like the the last straw that broke my back, not even a camel's back, my fucking back. And it lit something in me. And so during this time, allow yourself to feel these emotions and allow your inner activist and your fire to come forward, right? If you haven't listened to my other episode about sacred rage and dark feminine, I highly recommend you listen to it. Or if you have listened to it, listen to it again. Because that energy that lives within all of us, because sacred rage and the dark feminine is not something that just lives in femme presenting people. It's not. There's duality in all of us. It is the catalyst for the inner change and then the outer change. It's the energy that waves the red flag and screams at you to move, to get up, to do something, to feel something. And when we hide it away, we do so much harm, not just to ourselves, but to the world around us, right? So just reflect on it over this solstice, and, allow yourself to really speak your truth. And, I think about my own divorce and the relationships that I've been in the past, and all of those were significant for the evolution of who I am today and how I've gotten here, and how I needed to learn how to speak my truth within a marriage and face many, many generations of isolation and putting women last and not giving them access to funds, right? I had to find my voice within that, but I had to create space to do that and get to know myself, and again, revisit my belief systems. And you can ask yourself this: do my belief systems align with the way I am living? Am I truly practicing what I preach? If the answer is no, then make the change. Begin to make the change. We have to evolve in order to change this world, right? And ask yourself, even within your family dynamics, right? This is a part of your journey to get to know yourself and building beliefs around your familial ties or your community ties, however you were brought up in this world. Like, what am I willing to take and what am I not willing to take, right? Is there change needing to be had? Is there space needed? Is there love needed? Is there compassion needed for family members or community members, parental figures? Do the work and ask these questions. Look at your friends. Take the different perspective for yourself, right? Write it on paper. If you need to talk to a health professional, come see me, be in my space. I'm happy to hold space for you through any of my sessions. And again, take physical space if you have to do that, which I have been finding that I absolutely need that on this new evolution of my inner activist and what I'm willing to take and what I'm kind of metaphorically birthing into this world to help, right? To contribute. I am a part of this world just as much as you are a part of this world. And it's okay to, be nervous about this journey. Getting to know yourself is not always easy and it can feel scary, but when you do it once, you will continue to do it and you will see results really quickly. And I'll even be sharing a post about one of my beautiful clients who had an amazing win today, and stuck up for their boundaries and stuck up for their happiness. And I know that energy is just going to keep growing. Like it's going to become so massive. And I know the change that they're going to create in this world. And it makes me want to cry just to think about it. But it's important, that she took the time to come into this program. Not saying you have to come into my program, but like, she wanted to take the journey to get to know herself so she could be a better person in this world, so she could fight against genocide and, talk about sustainability and fashion and protecting the earth, because it is our responsibility. But we can't do that unless we have security within ourselves and we understand what we believe in. We understand what boundaries we need to have to feel safe so we can continue to articulate ourselves in a way that is impactful instead of harmful. And as we're wrapping up, I just want to say that I am, just really proud of seeing everyone in the community and just globally show up to create a world that is more loving, and you're being ruthless about it. You're not giving up, and I applaud you, and I'm not giving up, and I will do everything that I can, and I am in full solidarity with changing this world. And so I am honored to be in spaces with you all. And for my birthday, I went to a poetry brothel that was filled with activists who were sharing their own art and their own channels that allowed me to heal and make space for this new activist. And so I honor them as well. So get out and, really share your gifts, whatever they may be, art, speaking, singing. I know someone who's like a professional cuddler to help people with depression. Like help out in whatever way you can so we can continue to move forward. And there is a book, if you haven't read it, I'm sure most of you have, but I will be rereading it because it's one of my favorite books, and it's The Strength to Love by Martin Luther King. And so I always try to ground myself again back into love. And so I invite you to do the same on your own inner activist journey, so you can really show up from a loving place, because it's so needed right now in this world. And we have to learn how to alchemize our pain and our frustration into something tangible. We have to create change. Otherwise it will eat us alive, and it will also take lives from this earth. And for those who, love history, go back and look at your favorite activists, your favorite speakers, your favorite artists who spoke out against war many, many times, and realize that even though they were in different mediums, they were alchemizing energy and creating something beautiful to move forward, right? No matter what it looked like. So really removing your perfectionist lens that I know is also very colonial, and remembering who you are, remembering the strength within you, remembering your ancestral knowledge, your truth, your gifts, everything. Just remember who you are. It reminds me of Lion King. That just popped into my head. But truly connect back to why you're here in this space, and remember why you are doing the work that you are doing. If you have a business or you work at a 9 to 5, why are you so happy at that job? Or why did you create that course? Or why is it that you teach yoga, or you are in diversity, equity, and inclusion? Why are you doing it? And remember that, and make choices from that place every single day, right? And remember that love is always the strongest thing to create change. So I will end this episode here, and I am sending you all lots of love, and the link to pre-order my book is going to be up this week. So keep a lookout for it. It's called The Empowered Femme Initiation, and it's a beautiful journey of me sharing my own story and sharing advice to help uplift other people and to help elevate voices. And remember the power within you and your own story. Even if you think your story is insignificant, it is not. It could be the one thing to change millions of lives if you just allow it to, right? And I have clients sometimes that own businesses, and they're so worried that sometimes they might have 1 or 2 people in their group sessions. And it's like, you know what? It doesn't even matter. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong at all. It means that those people showed up because they understood and continue to show up with power and honesty, because you never know what could happen. Those people could, like I always say, turn out to be the next leaders in this world, all because you decided to not close your program and continue forward with 1 or 2 people, all because you followed through and created a safe space for someone, right? It's the ripple effect is bigger than you think. So continue to operate from a place of love, release anything that's really holding you back, and truly remember who you are. And again, keep a lookout for the link for my book. You'll be able to pre-order it, and it will ship out in January. And if you will be in Northern California, I will be selling my book along with my products at the California Women's Expo. And it's going to be an amazing time. And I really, really hope that all of you are taking care of yourself as much as you can right now. And understand that you are so dearly needed in this world. So I'm sending you all lots of love and lots of hugs. And if you're needing anything, please reach out to me anytime. And again, pre-order my book. It's going to be amazing. And if you would like to also help out with my business and support it and support the programs that I have as well, I invite you to become a paid subscriber to this podcast. It starts at $3, which is like, how often do we spend $3? Like all the fucking time. So a little bit of money goes a long way in terms of keeping the platforms running and allowing myself as well to be able to use my energy towards helping people show up in the community better as well. And keep a lookout for some accessible community coaching that I'm going to be dropping very, very soon. So that is it for me, my friends. Thank you so much for showing up for yourself, showing up for me, and really, truly showing up for this world. You have no idea how much I appreciate it. And I love you all. And thank you to also all the subscribers who are paying right now. I honor you and I appreciate you deeply. And I'm wishing you all the best. Make amazing, beautiful decisions and allow your inner activist to come out. It's ready to come out. So that is it from me, my friends. I will talk to you later.
Hey, if you're ready to ascend to happiness and live the life you've always wanted, join me in my Empowered Living Facebook group for socially conscious healers, witches, and spirituals, and sign up to get my free Empowered 5 Practices to Ascended Happiness guide. It's helped others expand their consciousness and soar beyond sight, sound, and imagination in just one day. It's the catalyst you need to embrace your magic and change the world. Just click the link in the show notes, and I'll see you in the group next time.